Good evening. Tonight I would like to tell you about a recent experience in working in the hospital that I work in, the greater Boston area. Now, I'm not going to reveal any information in regards to what hospital, specifically where in Boston it's located, or any relative information like that. Nor will I reveal any names, discuss patient personal information or such, following all the standards of working in the hospital. So, Sundays, I go into the hospital and I work a shift to assist the emergency department. Most of the time, the staff that I work with is very easy to get along with, and such was the case on this Sunday. However, the staff was totally different from what I'm used to, and as such, there was a little bit of ambiguity this time around. So I'm unaware of who I should be talking to and who specifically I should be reporting to. Nevertheless, I picked up my duties as a volunteer to the best of my ability, working to serve the entire staff, to serve the different departments in the hospital, and to alleviate basic needs of patients around me who are being treated from minor to major conditions within the hospital. And one such patient I remember came in. He was brought into the hospital and was accompanied by who appeared to be his wife and his younger daughter. And as I constantly walked by, I saw the doctors doing different tests on this patient, who was very, very cooperative and very, very understanding of the procedure. And as a volunteer, I frequently made my way in to check on this patient and to see if he or any of his guests needed anything to alleviate or heighten their experience in the hospital. Fundamentally speaking, the hospital is a customer service role, and we as hospital employees strive to give our patients and their guests the utmost customer service. Now, in working with the hospital staff and this one patient, it's my responsibility to act as a waiter. I go around to the patients who are either being admitted or staying in the ED for a good deal of time, and I see if they want food or if they want to order a meal for themselves or for their families. Of course, ordering for the family, that's a little more tricky and a little more complicated, but ordering directly for the patient is something that I take pride in. Being a waiter outside, it helps to gain practice as both a customer service representative at the restaurant and as a customer service representative in the hospital. They both adopt very different styles of working with your customers or guests, but fundamentally speaking, you're dealing with similar, if not the same people who walk into your hospital to be treated as you do as the people who walk into your restaurant to be served. Now, this gentleman who appeared to be in his 60s, maybe late 60s, borderline early 70s, was not that much distressed from his visit to the hospital that day, and as such was able to keep a good amount of conversation going with me, and that's always very helpful in the volunteer patient role, that's enforced and invoked by the hospital. So, in going to talk to this patient, after retrieving a menu from the hospital ward and the hospital staff, I walked in and greeted the patient, greeted his family, and presented him with a menu of a wide variety of choices that he could order for himself to not only feed himself, but to take his mind off of what was going on in the hospital, not just to him and his family, but to the other patients and to the noises and ruckus within the emergency department. Being a patient myself, sometimes in the emergency department for various reasons, different sounds and sights can be rather unsettling, and as such, sometimes you just want to tune all of that out. So I do my best to make sure that this patient is taken care of, not by any medicinal means, but by what I'm allowed to practice. And in handing off the menu to this patient, he ordered 3 different things from the menu, but very vastly different items, ranging from chicken soup to a fruit cup, all the way to a sandwich. Now, typically patients order this much, but to see a patient wanting a wide variety to make sure all of his dietary needs were met was, in a way, almost refreshing to see, given that all the other patients order something that they just want really quickly to eat, to fill themselves with no regard of their dietary need or dietary fulfillment that needs to be met in order to keep their bodies healthy while they're at the hospital. As such, I went over to the phone in which we make calls to all different parts of the hospital, and I placed this patient's order. I gave the representative on the phone his name and his order, and about 10 minutes later my shift was done. However, because of this rapport that I established with this patient, I wanted to make sure that his meal was delivered to him in a timely fashion. So I stuck around about 10 to 15 minutes after my shift was over until his food arrived. And at that time, once the food arrived, I assembled everything from his food to a drink order that he and his family both put together. So I went off and, adapting these waiter skills that I have at the restaurant, put together the drinks that he and his family requested and delivered them, the cups of ice and the can on the side, making sure, of course, that they got their refills in addition to just the cup of ice and their drink. And upon leaving and getting their meal, getting the patient's meal, I returned to see that the family was rather happy that I was personally taking care of them. And I found that delivering this meal to this patient not only made him happy because he now had a meal to consume, but seeing that I was taking the active steps to go the extra mile to take care of him seemingly made his day much better, and from what I gathered, made his hospital experience all the more better, regardless of whatever issue he was being treated for. I find that applying certain principles, very small certain principles, like the one I applied, was very helpful in a sense to the patient and his family both. It alleviated the patient's worries and concerns by having someone to talk to, not just about his food or what he wanted to drink, but just as a normal, everyday person, having a seemingly basic conversation, trying to put him at ease and rest assured that his family and he would be taken care of. In doing so, I found that this not only heightened their spirits to a great deal, but allowed for a very nice atmosphere to be set and for a very wonderful hospital experience for patients and family alike. I find that I strive to bring this to the hospital setting, and I feel that in time, being a aspiring medical professional myself, these practices should be invoked to every patient who comes into any hospital, wherever and whenever. Healthcare is not just about making you better from whatever ailment you have. It's also making sure that you feel good along the way. The doctor or a nurse or a healthcare professional provides a patient with a pill. The patient or patients should not feel obligated to necessarily pop that pill down their throat unless given a good reason to do so. And if that reason is done in a very nice manner, in such that it reassures the patient and his or her family, and allows for a very good feeling to be brought about, and that everyone in that room is being taken care of, both patient and family alike, then I feel the experience is all the more better for anyone and everyone involved. And once that can be achieved, then the healthcare system has reached the pinnacle of what it was meant to do. Not to heal people by itself, but to heal and take care of people in a way that says, I trust this hospital, I trust the people who work here, and I trust the decisions that they make. I enjoyed my experiences, I continue to enjoy them, and I believe I will always continue to enjoy them whenever I come into the hospital. Speaking for myself, my experience is as a hospital a volunteer at the hospital, excuse me. I'm jumping ahead about 5 years now, so I need to stay focused on the here and now. I find that being an aspiring medical professional, healthcare needs to be more customer service oriented in such a way that people trust you for what you provide them and how you provide it to them. And that's all I have to say for this week's visit to the hospital. Until next week, thank you for joining me.